God, I come before you today with my heart wide open. I know that you can see every corner of my being. The moments of joy, the times of sorrow, and yes, the struggles with envy that have been weighing on my soul. This feeling that consumes me sometimes, when I look at what others have, what they've achieved, or who they are, it creates this heaviness inside that I cannot seem to shake on my own. You know how I've tried to push these feelings away, to convince myself that I should be grateful for what I have, yet the comparison continues to creep in during my weakest moments. I recognize now that true freedom can only come when I surrender these feelings to you completely. Help me to acknowledge this envy not as a shameful secret, but as a human struggle that needs your divine intervention. In the quiet moments of honesty, I confess that I have allowed envy to distort my perspective of the blessings you've given me. I've spent precious time scrolling through social media, seeing the highlights of others' lives, and feeling somehow diminished in comparison. I've sat in church and found myself looking at other women, their seemingly perfect families, their confident faith, their put-together lives, and wondered why my journey seems so much more challenging. It's exhausting, Lord, carrying this weight of comparison. I'm tired of measuring my worth against other successes. I'm weary of feeling that hollow ache when someone else receives the very thing I've been praying for. You didn't create me to live in the shadow of others' journeys, yet I find myself there so often. Help me to step into the light of your purpose for me. Your word tells us in Proverbs that a heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. I have felt this rotting, this slow decay of joy when I allow envy to take root. It has affected not just my spiritual health, but my physical well-being. The tension in my shoulders, the sleepless nights, the racing thoughts of why them and not me? These feelings have created walls between myself and others, preventing me from truly celebrating their joys as you would have me do. I've smiled on the outside while hurting on the inside. I've offered congratulations with words that didn't match my heart. This division between my actions and my true feelings has left me feeling inauthentic and disconnected from my own faith. I don't want to live this way anymore. I want to be whole and undivided in my love for you and others. I am reminded of the story of Rachel and Leah, how envy tore apart what could have been beautiful sisterhood. I think of Joseph's brothers, whose envy led to betrayal and years of family separation. Throughout your word, I see the destructive path that envy carves through human relationships, and I recognize this same pattern in my own life. The friendships I've held at a distance because I felt threatened by their success. The family members I've struggled to fully love because I compared my journey to theirs. The colleagues whose achievements I couldn't genuinely celebrate because I wanted what they had. This is not the abundant life you promised me. This is not the freedom that Christ died to give me. I am trapped in a prison of my own making, and I need your power to break these chains. God, I know that you understand this struggle because your word addresses it so clearly. You wouldn't have warned us about the dangers of envy if you didn't know how common this battle would be. There's comfort in knowing that even great men and women of faith struggled with comparing themselves to others. I am not alone in this fight. When the psalmist wrote of being envious of the prosperity of the wicked, he was experiencing the same human emotions that I feel. When Paul wrote to the Corinthians about the body of Christ having many parts, each with its own function, he understood our tendency to desire others' gifts instead of embracing our own. Thank you for a faith that doesn't pretend we are above human emotions but instead shows us how to bring those emotions to you for transformation. For those watching this video, I want to share that we have a special ebook available called Don't Think, Trust and Surrender in the first pinned comment below. This resource has been a blessing to many who struggle with anxiety triggered by comparison and envy. While it doesn't replace professional help, it offers biblical guidance that can bring comfort on your journey toward freedom. God uses many tools to bring healing to our hearts, and sometimes the right words at the right moment can be the beginning of a breakthrough. I encourage you to check it out if you're feeling led to dig deeper into this topic after our prayer time together. Lord, I ask you now to search my heart and show me the root causes of my envy. Is it insecurity about my identity in you? Is it fear that there isn't enough blessing to go around? Is it doubt that your plan for me is truly good? Help me to see clearly what feeds this feeling so that I can address it directly. I know that surface-level changes won't last. I need transformation at the heart level. I need to see myself through your eyes rather than through the distorted lens of comparison. You created me uniquely, with specific gifts, talents, and a purpose that no one else can fulfill exactly as I can. Remind me that I don't need to be like anyone else to be valued by you. The validation I'm seeking through comparison will never satisfy the deepest longing of my soul. I bring before you now those specific people and situations that have triggered envy in my heart. That friend whose marriage seems so much stronger than mine. That woman at church whose children appear so well behaved and successful while I struggle with my own. That social media influencer whose home, appearance, and lifestyle make me feel inadequate in comparison. That family member who seems to have financial security while I worry about making ends meet. I name these triggers not to justify my envy but to expose it to your light. Take these feelings, Lord, and replace them with genuine joy for others' blessings. Help me to see their success not as a commentary on my failure but as evidence of your goodness in this world. Teach me to celebrate with those who celebrate, without the shadow of envy darkening that joy. Your word promises that we can be transformed by the renewing of our minds. I invite you now to reshape my thinking patterns. When I begin to spiral into comparison, interrupt those thoughts with truth. When I'm tempted to scroll through social media and feel diminished by others' highlight reels, prompt me to put down my phone and count my own blessings instead. When I hear news of someone else's achievement in an area where I've been striving, give me words of genuine congratulation. Replace my why them and not me with thank you for blessing them. Train my mind to recognize the unique ways you've provided for me, even when they look different from how you've provided for others. Free me from the expectation that my journey should look like anyone else's. We are all on different paths within your greater purpose. I am learning, God, that comparison is the thief of joy, and envy is its painful aftermath. In those moments when I feel the familiar sting of wanting what others have, help me to remember that not everything is as it appears. Behind closed doors, each person carries their own struggles, their own pain, their own journey with you. The very people I envy may be looking at aspects of my life with the same feeling. We're all broken vessels, cracked in different places, being mended by your loving hands. I want to extend the same grace to others that I hope they extend to me. The understanding that we're all works in progress, not finished masterpieces to be compared and ranked. In your kingdom, there is no hierarchy of worth based on earthly measures of success. We are all equally precious to you, equally in need of your grace. I confess that there have been times when my envy has given birth to resentment, bitterness, and even subtle forms of sabotage. I've spoken words meant to diminish others' successes. I've withdrawn my support when I should have been their biggest cheerleader. I've found secret satisfaction in hearing of their setbacks. This is not who I want to be, Lord. This is not who you created me to be. Forgive me for these moments when envy has corrupted my character and caused me to act in ways that dishonor you. Cleanse my heart of these attitudes and help me to truly desire the best for others, even in areas where I myself am still waiting for breakthrough. Let me be known as someone who genuinely celebrates others' victories and comforts them in defeat, not someone who is constantly measuring my life against theirs. God, I know that envy often stems from forgetting what you've already done in my life. When I focus on what I lack rather than what I've been given, discontentment grows. Help me to develop a habit of gratitude that crowds out comparison. Right now, I choose to thank you for specific blessings in my life. My health, my family, my home, my church community, the ways I've seen you provide and protect. I thank you for answered prayers and for the unanswered ones that protected me from paths that weren't your best for me. I thank you for growth through difficult seasons and for joys that came unexpectedly. As I list these blessings, I feel the grip of envy loosening. Gratitude and envy cannot coexist in the same heart moment. Train me to choose gratitude as my first response, not as an afterthought when envy has already taken root. Your word says that godliness with contentment is great gain. I want to experience this truth in my daily life. I want to wake up each morning satisfied in you alone, not needing the validation of possessions, accomplishments, or others' approval. I want to lay my head down each night with a heart at peace, not racing with thoughts of what others have that I do not. This contentment isn't about settling for less than your best for me. It's about recognizing that your best might look different than I expected, and different than it looks for others. It's about trusting that you are working all things together for my good, even when I can't see how the pieces fit. It's about believing that your timing is perfect, even when it's not aligned with my preferred schedule. Contentment is freedom from the tyranny of comparison, and I choose it today. I pray now for the courage to take practical steps toward freedom from envy. Give me wisdom to recognize when certain relationships, social media accounts, or environments trigger unhealthy comparison, and the strength to create boundaries where needed. Help me to fill my mind with your truth rather than the world's measurements of success. Guide me toward friendships that encourage me in who I am in you, not who the world says I should be. Lead me to serve others from a place of security in your love, knowing that my value doesn't come from what I accomplish but from whose I am. Show me how to use the gifts you've given me without constantly looking over my shoulder to see how others are using theirs. Living free from comparison requires daily choices. Empower me to make those choices consistently. Lord, I recognize that the antidote to envy is love. Genuine love that wants the best for others without condition or comparison. 1 Corinthians tells us that love does not envy. When I struggle with feelings of envy, it's a signal that I need to grow in love. Expand my capacity to love others as you love them, to see them through your eyes rather than through the lens of my own insecurities. When I truly love someone, their victories become my victories too. Their joys add to my joy rather than diminishing it. This is the kind of love you've shown to me, celebrating my smallest steps of growth, cheering me on when I succeed, comforting me when I fail, always seeing the best in me even when I cannot see it in myself. Transform me into a woman who loves others this way, free from the poison of comparison. I'm beginning to understand, God, that envy is often a misplaced longing for you. When I envy others' peace, I'm really longing for the Prince of Peace. When I envy others' security, I'm longing for the shelter of your wings. When I envy others' purpose, I'm longing for deeper connection to your calling on my life. Even when I envy material possessions, I'm really longing for the contentment that can only come from knowing I have all I need in you. Help me to recognize these deeper longings and bring them directly to you rather than projecting them onto others' lives. You are the only one who can truly satisfy the deepest needs of my heart. No person, possession, or accomplishment can fill the God-shaped void within me. I choose today to direct my longings toward you, the only true source of fulfillment. Your word tells us to delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. I've sometimes misunderstood this to mean that you'll give me whatever I want if I just love you enough. But I'm learning that when I truly delight in you, you actually transform my desires to align with your will. The things I envy in others begin to lose their hold on me as I discover what truly matters in your kingdom. Success looks different through your eyes. Beauty is defined differently in your word. Purpose is found not in worldly achievement but in faithful obedience to your leading. As I fix my eyes on you rather than on others, my perspective shifts. What once seemed so important, having what they have, being who they are, fades in comparison to the joy of knowing you more deeply and walking in your purpose for my life. I pray for healing from the wounds that fuel my envy. So often, comparison is rooted in past hurts, times when I felt overlooked, undervalued, or explicitly told I wasn't enough. These experiences created tender spots in my heart that become inflamed when I see others receiving the validation I've longed for. You are the God who heals, who binds up broken hearts and sets captives free. I invite you into those painful memories, those moments that taught me I needed to measure up to be worthy of love. Replace these lies with your truth, that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, that you chose me before the foundation of the world, that nothing can separate me from your love. As these wounds heal, envy loses its power over me. I no longer need others' approval or achievements to validate my worth because I know who I am in you. God, I surrender my timeline to you. So much of my envy comes from comparing my chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 10, or thinking my journey should match the pace of others around me. I've created artificial deadlines for when I should achieve certain milestones, and when reality doesn't match my expectations, envy creeps in. But you are outside of time, seeing the beginning and the end simultaneously. You know exactly when each blessing, each opportunity, each answer to prayer will serve your greater purpose in my life. I choose to trust your timing, to believe that when I seem to be waiting, you are actually working behind the scenes in ways I cannot yet perceive. Free me from the tyranny of my own timeline and help me to rest in your perfect schedule for my life. I ask for your supernatural perspective when envy threatens to overtake me. When I look at others' lives through earthly eyes, I see only what is visible: possessions, relationships, achievements, appearances. But you see the heart. You see the struggles hidden beneath polished exteriors. You see the sleepless nights that preceded public success. You see the private tears behind social media smiles. Give me this deeper vision, Lord, this ability to remember that I am comparing my unedited footage to others' highlight reels. Let me approach every person with the humility that comes from knowing we are all fighting battles unseen by human eyes. Let me extend the same grace to others that I hope they extend to me. The understanding that none of us has it all together, no matter how it might appear. I'm learning that comparison steals more than just my joy. It steals my purpose. When I focus on trying to be like someone else, I miss the unique contribution I was created to make. There are people who need precisely what I have to offer. People who will respond to my specific blend of gifts and experiences in ways they wouldn't respond to anyone else. When I'm busy envying others' ministries, businesses, families, or talents, I neglect the development and stewardship of my own. Forgive me for the times I've buried my gifts because they didn't seem as impressive as others. Forgive me for holding back my authentic self because I was trying to imitate someone else's success formula. I recommit today to being fully myself, the woman you created me to be, trusting that my obedience in being authentically me matters more than my success at being a second-rate version of someone else. God, I confess that my envy has sometimes been focused on spiritual matters. Others' seemingly deeper faith, more powerful prayers, or more visible ministry impact. Even in the church, I found myself making comparisons that leave me feeling inadequate. Remind me that spiritual growth isn't a competition. We're not ranked according to our Bible knowledge, church attendance, or ministry reach. The measure of spiritual maturity is love. Love for you and love for others. As I grow in love, I grow in the only area that truly matters in your kingdom. Help me to celebrate the diverse ways your Spirit works through different members of your body, recognizing that our varied gifts and callings create a beautiful mosaic that reflects your character more fully than any one person could alone. We need each other's differences, not carbon copies of the same gifts. I pray for discernment to distinguish between unhealthy envy and healthy inspiration. There is value in having role models who challenge me to grow, who demonstrate possibilities I hadn't considered, who excel in areas where I aspire to develop. The difference lies in my heart response. Do I resent their success, or am I genuinely inspired by it? Do I believe their achievement somehow diminishes what's available to me, or do I see it as evidence that growth is possible? Transform my envy into inspiration, Lord. Let me learn from those you've placed ahead of me on certain paths without feeling threatened by their progress. Let me be humble enough to receive their wisdom, grateful enough to acknowledge their influence, and secure enough to develop my own authentic expression rather than becoming an imitation. Your word tells us to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. I want to live this verse authentically, not just going through the motions of celebrating others while internally feeling diminished by their success. Give me a genuinely generous heart that finds joy in others' blessings. When a friend announces a pregnancy after years of trying, while I'm still waiting, let my congratulations be wholehearted. When a colleague receives the promotion I had hoped for, let me honor their achievement without resentment. When someone's ministry bears visible fruit while mine seems dormant, let me celebrate the advance of your kingdom without questioning my own contribution. This kind of genuine celebration is supernatural. It doesn't come naturally to my envious heart. It requires your Spirit's work in me, transforming me from the inside out. I recognize, Lord, that comparison often keeps me looking horizontally when you call me to look vertically. When my eyes are fixed on you, when I'm seeking first your kingdom and your righteousness, the achievements and possessions of others lose their power over me. The only comparison that matters is not how I measure up to others, but how my current self compares to who you are calling me to become. Am I more loving than I was a year ago? Am I more patient? Am I more faithful in using the gifts you've entrusted to me? These are the questions that deserve my attention, not how my home compares to my neighbors or how my career progress matches up to my college classmates. Redirect my focus, Lord, from side-to-side comparison to upward growth toward you. I ask that you would use my struggle with envy to develop greater compassion in me for others who battle the same feelings. Let my own vulnerability in this area create safe spaces where others can acknowledge their comparison triggers without shame. In a culture that constantly fuels discontentment through advertising and social media, none of us is immune to these feelings. Yet we often suffer in silence, putting on brave faces while dying inside. Break down these walls of isolation, Lord. Let my journey toward freedom become a pathway that helps others find release from comparison's prison. Use my testimony, not of perfect victory but of ongoing surrender, to encourage someone else who feels alone in this struggle. Nothing in our lives is wasted when surrendered to you, not even our most difficult battles. If you've been blessed by this prayer today, would you take a moment to share it with someone in your life who might be fighting the same battle with comparison and envy? Sometimes the greatest gift we can give each other is the knowledge that we're not alone in our struggles. Your share might be exactly what someone needs to take their first step toward freedom. Remember that God sees you, knows you, and loves you exactly where you are today, not where you think you should be compared to others. His plans for you are good, and they are uniquely designed for your journey, not anyone else's. Trust His timing, embrace your unique calling, and rest in His perfect love that casts out all fear, including the fear of not measuring up.